Have you ever felt like you're kind of stuck, in this weird language loop? Like you can understand English, you've got all these words in your vocabulary, but actually speaking it, like fluently, feels impossible. Well, that's exactly what we're diving into today.
Uh-huh.
We're going to be looking at some really cool insights from this YouTube series called The Fluent Path. And get ready, because I think this deep dive is going to be super helpful for you as you keep working towards, really mastering English.
Yeah, the first big thing that we often run into is what this video calls the translation trap. And that's that automatic thing we all do, right?
Yeah.
Where we try to convert our thoughts word for word, from our own native language into English.
Right.
And it feels so natural, right?
Totally.
But it can actually really hold us back.
So it's not even just about knowing the words, it's how we use them.
Mm.
And I can 100% relate to that. I feel like it's like trying to solve one of those, math problems where you have all the right numbers, but you're putting them in the wrong order. You're never going to get to the right answer.
Right. That's such a good way to put it. Language is kind of like math in that way, right?
Yeah.
It relies on these very specific structures, and English sentence structure is so different from, let's say, Spanish, for example.
Mm-hmm.
So if you try to force a direct translation, it often creates these sentences that are confusing or sometimes even grammatically just wrong.
And the video even shares this example of this manager who was super successful in his field, took a bunch of English courses, but he still couldn't speak fluently. And it's so interesting because he knew all the rules,
Yeah.
but he just kept getting tripped up by that translation habit, right?
Yeah.
So it highlights how fluency is not just about stuffing our brains with all this knowledge,
Yeah.
It's about changing the way we think in the language.
Exactly. You can know every single grammar rule, but if you're still stuck translating everything in your head, you're never going to get that effortless flow, that natural way of speaking.
So, okay, if translating is the problem, what's the solution here? The video suggests we go back to basics, which I thought was interesting, because wouldn't that be way too simple for someone who's already, having conversations?
I think the key here is not so much about simplifying what you say, but more how you say it. And this actually connects really well with another important point, which is the power of simplicity.
Okay.
But maybe not in the way you'd expect. For example, I had this student who could write these amazingly complex sentences, but then when he tried to speak, he was so hesitant he would get lost in all these big words and complicated grammar. So we actually worked on stripping his language back, focusing on just getting his message across with the simplest, clearest words and grammar possible. And the result, his spoken English became so much more fluent.
So instead of getting all caught up in the perfect grammar or finding the most sophisticated word, we should just try to focus on getting the point across clearly.
Exactly. And, this is a skill that you build just like any other skill. Think about learning to dance, right?
Yeah.
You practice the same basic steps again and again until they become second nature. It's the same with language. Repetition is key. You need to repeat those core English sentence structures until you can use them without even thinking.
Okay, so repetition, keeping things simple.
Yeah.
What else can help us, really escape that translation trap?
This one might surprise you. Metaphors.
Hmm.
You might be thinking, aren't metaphors for poets and writers? But they're actually really essential to understanding English at a much deeper level, especially when it comes to, phrasal verbs and idioms. Those are the things that really make English unique.
Oh, that's interesting. So instead of thinking I need to memorize all these crazy phrasal verbs, I should try to understand the concept behind them, the
Yeah.
imagery. For example, kick the bucket doesn't actually mean kicking a bucket, right?
Right.
It's a metaphor for death.
Exactly. And once you understand that metaphorical meaning, it becomes so much easier to use these phrasal verbs naturally and even guess what they mean in different situations.
That makes a lot of sense. It's like we're unlocking some secret code to the language, and by understanding the imagery, the pictures behind the words, we can start to think more intuitively in English.
Exactly. And that's where real fluency starts to develop. You're going beyond translating words and starting to understand the real meaning and all the subtleties of the language.
And just like any other skill that's worth learning, it takes consistent effort, right? You're not going to cram a bunch of metaphors and suddenly become fluent.
Right. Think of it like learning to ride a bike. It takes time, it takes effort. You might fall a few times, but once you get it, you never really forget. It becomes a part of you. And it's the same with learning English. You build that fluency muscle and you do it through consistent practice.
And just like learning to ride a bike, there are going to be times when you feel frustrated, like you're not making any progress. But I think it's important to just keep going, trust the process, and most importantly, believe in yourself. Because like the video says, your mindset, getting that aligned with your goals can make a huge difference.
If you really believe that you can become fluent, your brain starts working with you instead of against you.
So we've talked about metaphors, mindset, practice. But let's go back to the foundation, mastering the basic building blocks of English.
Uh-huh.
The video really stresses how important the subject-verb-object structure is. And it sounds so simple, yet it seems like so many people struggle with it.
This structure, it's like the backbone of English, and understanding it on a deeper level can really help you build sentences more naturally and intuitively.
The video uses this great example to show this. Yesterday arrived my package. And we can understand what they mean, but it just sounds wrong.
Yeah, that misplaced yesterday throws the whole thing off. The correct way to say it would be, yesterday my package arrived. So the subject is package. The verb is arrived. It's a tiny change, but it just makes the whole sentence flow so much better.
And I think this all ties back to what we were talking about earlier, embracing simplicity.
Mm.
You don't need to use all these big words and complex grammar to be fluent.
Mm-hmm.
It's more about using the words you already know in a way that makes sense.
Yeah, remember the example in the video about Cyrus the dog? My dog Cyrus sleeps on my bed every day.
Right.
Simple words, clear structure, and the message is perfectly clear. That's what fluency really is, being able to communicate well.
And to get there, the video says we should try writing, which might sound a little counterintuitive.
Yeah.
But the video argues that writing can actually help us think more clearly in English.
When you write, it forces you to slow down, to really think about the words you choose and how you structure your sentences. It's like, a workout for your English brain.
So even just jotting down our thoughts or to-do lists, grocery lists, doing all that in English can help us build fluency.
Exactly. It's about making that mental shift to thinking in the language, even in these small everyday things.
Yeah.
And if you prefer speaking, you can always use a voice-to-text tool to get your thoughts down. And you might be surprised by, the little mistakes you find when you look back at what you've said.
And those mistakes, those are actually good.
Yeah.
They show us where we need to pay more attention. Right.
Yeah.
Plus, there's no pressure to be perfect. It's all about learning and getting better over time.
Exactly. And it all comes back to that idea of consistent effort. The more you write, even if you make mistakes, the more you'll learn those correct patterns and structures, and the closer you'll get to that natural, effortless English you're looking for. And it's that consistent effort that really is key. It's about creating those pathways in your brain, those neural pathways, and training your brain to think in English, not just translate.
It makes me think of those athletes who, train their muscles, through repetition. And it's not just about showing up for the big game. It's about building those skills over time. So for us, it's not about cramming all this vocabulary and grammar, but developing the habit of actually using the language.
Exactly. And it goes beyond studying. It's about finding ways to, fit English into your daily life, even in little ways.
Which brings us back to, that idea of ditching translation.
Yeah.
And it sounds great, in theory, but how do we actually do that? It feels so automatic at this point.
It is a process, right? It takes time.
Yeah.
But even small changes can make a big difference. The video suggests starting with just single words. So look around you right now and name the things you see, but do it in English without translating. Chair, table, window, simple. But you're starting to build those direct connections in your brain.
Oh, I like that. It's like this mini mental workout in English. Instead of taking that extra step to translate, you're going straight for the English word.
Exactly. And as you get comfortable with single words, start to build these short phrases.
Right.
Like blue sky, hot coffee, walking dog. Still pretty simple, right? But you're building those connections. You're bypassing translation.
So kind of like how we learn our first language. We start with words, then we build sentences.
You got it. It's like tapping into that natural learning process, even as adults. And as you progress, try to describe your actions throughout the day. I'm making breakfast, I'm checking my email, I'm going for a walk. Again, basic phrases, but you're reinforcing that habit of thinking in English, even for everyday stuff.
And speaking of fitting English into your life, the video also talks about the power of immersion.
Ah, yes. This is where things get fun. Imagine watching movies and TV shows in English, listening to music, podcasts, even reading books and articles. It's about surrounding yourself with the language. You're creating an environment where English is everywhere.
So it's less about like sitting down and studying and more about creating a world where English is just there. It's like learning through osmosis,
Yeah,
where you just kind of absorb it without even realizing it.
exactly. And don't worry if you don't understand every single word at first. The goal is just to increase your exposure, let your brain kind of get used to the sounds, the rhythm of English.
It's like you're training your ear to pick up the nuances. Like I've noticed that sometimes even if I don't understand all the words in a song, I can still feel the emotion behind it.
That's great. It means you're connecting with the language on a deeper level, going beyond just the literal meaning of the words.
And it takes us back to that idea of mindset, right?
Yeah,
Like if you approach immersion with curiosity and even enjoyment, it feels a lot less like a chore and more like an adventure.
I agree 100%. It's about finding those things that you're actually interested in and then use them as tools to help you learn. Enjoying the process makes a huge difference.
So we've got immersion, thinking in single words and phrases. But let's get back to those building blocks of grammar, mastering the subject, verb, object, sentence structure. I know we talked about it a little bit before, but it's so important to English, it's worth going a
Yeah.
bit deeper.
This structure is like so embedded in English that if you can really grasp it, it can be a game changer for your fluency. It's not just about knowing the order, it's about like internalizing it, making it second nature.
So it's about developing that intuition for how English sentences are built so we can speak and write fluently without overthinking every single grammar rule.
Right, you got it. And once you have that foundation, you can start adding more layers, more complexity, but always with that core structure as your guide.
For example, let's say we have a simple sentence like, I'm going to the store to buy some milk. How would we break that down using the subject verb object structure?
Okay, so I is the subject, the one doing the action. Am going is the verb, the action itself. And then to the store to buy some milk is the object, what the action is directed toward.
I can see how that simple structure creates this really clear concise sentence without any extra stuff.
Exactly. It's like this clear path for your thoughts. And as you get more comfortable with this framework, you can start adding adjectives and adverbs and other elements to make your sentences more descriptive, more nuanced. But no matter how complex it gets, that core structure stays the same.
It's like a roadmap for fluent English.
And speaking of making your English sound more natural, the video also talks about using active voice.
Oh, right. Active voice is when the subject is the one performing the action, right? Like the dog chased the ball.
Exactly, as opposed to passive voice, where the subject is being acted upon, like the ball was chased by the dog.
And while both are like grammatically correct, the video argues that active voice is generally just clearer, more concise, more engaging. It puts the focus on who's doing the action, and it gives your sentences a lot more energy, more impact.
Exactly. And while passive voice definitely has its place in certain situations, active voice is usually a more natural and direct way to express yourself in English.
And I think it's interesting how all of this connects back to like simplifying our language. Active voice naturally leads to these simpler, more straightforward sentences, which, as we've discussed, can be really helpful for unlocking fluency.
It's all connected. Mastering the basic structure, using active voice, striving for simplicity. These are all really powerful tools that work together to help you express yourself more fluently.
And the more we practice these things, the less we have to like consciously think about them. They become ingrained in our subconscious, and that allows the language to just flow more naturally.
It's like learning to drive a car. At first, you're thinking about every single thing, the steering wheel, the brakes, the mirrors. But with practice, those actions become automatic, and that frees you to focus on where you're going. Enjoy the ride.
So the goal is to get to a point where we're not getting bogged down by all those grammar rules and translations. We're thinking in English, feeling the language, and just letting it flow.
Exactly. And remember, fluency isn't a destination, it's a journey. There's always more to learn, more to explore, more to discover about this amazing language.
And like any journey, right, there are going to be those bumps along the way. But I think the video makes a really good point about not being afraid to mess up.
Yeah.
Like actually making mistakes is a really important part of learning.
100%. Instead of looking at mistakes as failures, you should see them as like valuable feedback. They show you exactly what you need to focus on and what you need to practice more. Each mistake is like a little opportunity to learn, to refine, and to grow.
It makes me think about how we encourage like little kids when they're learning to walk. We don't expect them to, just get up and start running perfectly.
Right.
We celebrate those first wobbly steps.
Right.
And we encourage them to keep going because we know that each time they stumble, it's bringing them closer to, walking with confidence.
That's a great analogy. And just like a child learning to walk, we need to be patient with ourselves and just embrace the process, knowing that fluency, it doesn't just happen overnight. It's those little consistent efforts that really make a difference over time.
And speaking of consistent efforts, let's go back to the power of writing as like a tool for developing fluency.
Yeah.
We've touched on it a bit, but I think it's worth underlining. Writing gives us this safe space to experiment with the language, to make those mistakes without worrying about, what people are going to think. And it really helps us hone those English skills.
It's almost like you have your own little lab where you can just play with different sentence structures, try out new words, experiment with those little nuances of the language. And because it's a slower, more thoughtful process, it helps you really internalize the rules and the patterns of English.
And what I really love about writing is it's like a tangible record of your progress.
Mm.
You can look back at like your old writing and you can see how much you've improved, how much more natural and confident your English has become. It's super motivating.
Absolutely. And, don't be shy about asking for feedback. Show your writing to a teacher, a tutor, maybe even a language partner. Getting that outside perspective can help you see where you're doing well and where you might need some extra help.
It's about creating that supportive environment where you feel good about taking risks, pushing yourself a little, and just embracing that whole journey of, becoming more fluent in English.
It's also a reminder that learning a language, it's not something you do alone. You should connect with other learners, share your experiences, and learn from each other. There's a really great sense of community among people who are learning languages. We all understand the challenges, the triumphs.
It's about celebrating those aha moments together, helping each other through those frustrating times, and in the end, inspiring each other to, reach new levels in our language journey.
So to wrap up this deep dive into fluency, I think the main thing to remember is this. Fluency isn't about knowing every single word in the dictionary. It's about having the confidence to express yourself well with the words you do know.
It's about finding your own voice in English, being able to share your unique perspective, and connecting with the world, in a way that's meaningful to you. And remember, this is a journey, not a race. Enjoy the process, celebrate those small wins, and never stop exploring the power of language. You got this.